If you're an agency owner or thinking of starting an agency, you have to watch this video. After leaving Microsoft as a software engineer and starting my own agency, spending $10 million on ad spend and working with brands like 𝗖𝗋 𝗪𝗁's NP Digital and 𝗪𝗂 I uncovered a hidden agency secret that blew my mind. And I don't know why I've never thought about this business model before. Here's the thing. Most agency owners are trapped in the retainer treadmill. You're fighting for clients, fighting for ROAS, and starting from scratch every time a client churns. In this video, I'm going to show you a specific business model shift that turns your agency from a service business into a sellable and scalable asset. It's risky, it's not for everyone, but if you get the math right and you have the right skills and systems, it can potentially make you a lot of money. So let's get right into it. So this business model I'm talking about is called pay per lead agency business model. And what we're going to do is we're first going to go and compare the retainer model versus the PPL model. And I've been running an agency for over 2 years now and have a lot of experience what it looks like managing a retainer-based agency. First of all, core identity. Retainer-based agency, it can feel at times like you're a fractional employee, part of the bigger business, right? You're renting out your time and skills, or your team's times and skills really, for the service. In the pay-per-lead agency model, you're more like a marketplace slash bank. You're selling money. When you mean money, is really just leads and appointments. So you're in the pay-per-lead model, you're selling leads and appointments instead of over here, you're managing ad accounts, maybe creating creatives, optimizing funnels, etc. With the sales pitch for the retainer is a little more high friction. You're going to a business and you're saying, hey, trust me with your ads and your ad spend budget and pay me a 2K, 5K, 10K, 20K month fee. And it requires massive trust up front. Whereas with the pay-per-lead model, it's a little easier pitch and sell because you just go to a business owner and say, hey, do you need more leads? Well, all businesses need more leads. If they don't have leads, they don't have customers, they don't have business. You only pay for leads I deliver. If I don't deliver, you don't pay. Essentially, you're going to them and saying, hey, if you need more leads, I can get you high quality leads. An easier sales pitch also because a business might not want to commit to a 6-month contract over here, even if it is month-to-month contract, right? Over here with a service fee. But if you go to them, hey, I can get you X amount of leads for X amount of price, they're more willing to try it out. And if it works out with those leads, they might want to buy more. Kind of like a dealer in a way, right? Here in the ad account structure, it's more fragmented. And this part is actually where I started thinking about this business model. So a quick little story. We work with a mortgage broker where we help him generate leads for DSCR, HELOC, refinance, all that stuff, right? So we have a lot of experience in the mortgage space, and a lot of my wife's family is pretty involved in real estate mortgage, and we have a lot of experience in that space. So we've been working with this client for over a year now, and he knew someone that he referred us that wanted leads, just like the way we set up leads we're getting him leads. They also wanted leads. And as we're onboarding this client, we had to go through the whole process of they've never ran ads before, so we had to set up their Facebook page, we had to set up their Instagram, we had to set up their ad account for us to be able to run ads, and we're like starting from scratch. And I'm like, okay, well, we got to the point where we're setting up the pixel. Because it's a brand new pixel, Facebook won't let you use it until a few weeks to make sure your page looks legit, you know? So we got to that point. I started thinking, I was like, well, we could just run the ads from his account since we've already been working with him. His pixel's already warmed up and we don't have to start from scratch. And that's when I started thinking about, wait a minute, what if we just had one page, one brand for mortgage where any mortgage broker or any loan officer or anything that wanted mortgage leads, we can just generate leads for them through that one single ad account. So that's where we get to the ad account structure. It's fragmented. You get 20 clients, 20 different ad accounts. You have to manage all of them. But pay per lead, it's consolidated. You can have one page, one ad account, one pixel for all your mortgage related leads and ads, and then you can distribute them. So it's a lot more simple, and you have this master pixel where it gets a ton more data because you're spending a lot more money and you get higher quality leads. So the data in pixel, it's weak. Data is siloed amongst all your ad accounts, all the different clients. If a client churns, you also lose that data and all that learning. But over here, it's compounding. Every single dollar that you spend trains the pixel. It gets smarter for every client. On the operations side, it's high touch, massive group chats, weekly meetings, weekly reports. You get clients saying, are freaking out. Hey, why is my CPL up this week versus last week? What's going on? And, at the end of the day, can't control, the market and what time of the year and all that stuff. So you get those types of messages. Over here, it's lower touch because you don't have the daily drama. You deliver the result, which is the leads or the appointments, and that's really it, right? So you're not getting messages, hey, why is my CPL? Why is this? At the end of the day, your job on this side is really to be on top of your CPL and all of that, because if you're selling the leads at this price, but if your CPL goes above that price, then you're in the hole. So that's why it's a little bit riskier. But what I've seen, what I believe makes this model work a lot better is your systems tracking and media buying have to be completely dialed in, and you have to know your numbers. Optimization, it's linear. You have to fix funnels one client at a time. Okay, let me go optimize this funnel, this funnel, this funnel. Over here, it's scalable. You fix the funnel once, your funnel, and it improves results for every client in that vertical. All right, so if I fix my one funnel here, it improves results for all the clients that I'm sending lead to, whether that's quality, whether that's, increasing or decreasing your CPL. Enterprise sales, it's hard. Big companies hesitate to sign expensive service contracts with smaller agencies. Over here, it's easier because big companies love to do test runs. They have big marketing budgets that they have to spend. So if they do a test run with you, it's a lot less friction for them. Asset value, it's low, hard to sell the business because revenue is tied to personal relationships, right? Or even if you're the face of the agency, it's going to be a little bit harder to sell over here, right? And over here, it's high, the sellable asset, because you own the data, you own the funnel and the lead source. So imagine you're generating all these leads. You have a huge database of these leads and all this data. That's also a sellable asset. And in another video, I'll go through like a case study of an actual big company who's done this model for like 20 plus years. They sold for over like 300 million, and we'll kind of dissect that model. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure that video gets posted, because I have tons of notes in just this industry, how it works, and kind of breaking down different niches and businesses who are doing really well. Scalability, capped. Your income is stuck at the flat fee. So $3K a month. To make more, you have to awkwardly negotiate a raise or charge complex percentage of ad spend. Yeah, this one's important because let's just say you charge a flat fee of $3K a month. To be able to scale how much you get paid, you either have to get a percentage of ad spend, which sometimes is hard to negotiate. The client's not going to want to, hey, no, I don't want to do percentage of ad spend, whatever. Or you have to be like, hey, we're crushing it with your ads, pay me more. So it's like, it's kind of hard there. Or you could do, ad spend brackets. So like, depending on how much they're spending, you get paid more. So there's that. Over here, it's uncapped because your revenue grows instantly with volume, right? This is the important part. So let's just say you sell 100 leads, they make a profit, they want more leads. They're like, hey, instead of 100, this time send me 200. You don't have to double your work to get double your revenue. You just double it, right? You just have more volume. So if a client wants 100 leads instead of 20, your revenue 5x's immediately without a new contract, which is beautiful. AI and automation is repetitive. You must build custom AI booking agents for every single client, install it into their own system. Different clients have different systems, CRMs, etc. Here, you just build one super agent system, CRM, automation for that specific vertical. It books appointments for all your clients using the same proven script. And if you can book appointments with AI, then the lead instantly becomes more valuable. So imagine the lead comes in, you use some type of AI appointment booking bot through SMS, email, chat, whatever, to book that appointment, or voice, which we've done. So we actually have a lot of experience booking appointments with AI. We booked that appointment. Now that lead value is a lot higher because it's an actual appointment. Those are some of the kind of comparisons here between agency and pay-per-lead. And again, there's pros and cons to every single business model. No single business is perfect, but you have to think about what makes more sense for your own skill sets and your own business. So I'm just sharing kind of some insights that I'm learning and then want to share with you to see if you might find it interesting. So economics, let's just say the target math. You buy a lead for $40 in ad spend, right? So you run some ads, you get a lead for $40. You then go and sell that lead for $150. Your gross profit is $110 per lead before your payrolls and tools, and of course, like you have softwares and all that stuff. Scalability, your income scales with volume, not just new client acquisition. You can have 5 clients, and if they have really high volume and buying tons and tons of leads, then you don't have to have tons and tons of clients, right? You front the ad spend. Here, you can actually pre-sell leads. Go to a business, hey, I'll sell you 200 leads at X price. They give you X up front, so then you don't have to front your ad spend. Of course, if you want to do this at a massive scale, you might need to potentially in the future front some ad spend. So the 10 mil breakdown, annual revenue goal is 10 million. Let's just say you want to hit 10 million with this business model. So you have to hit 833,000 in monthly revenue. So you have to sell 5,556 leads at this average price of 150 lead. This is just an example. Of course, you're not always going to buy leads at $40. You're not always going to sell them at $150, all of that. The client count reality check. Retainer model to hit 10 million at a standard 3K a month fee. You need 278 clients paying you 3K a month to hit 10 million. It requires massive staff, operationally impossible for most. PPL model, to hit 10 million, you only need 56 clients buying an average of 100 leads per month, which is not a lot. So 56 clients versus 278. The niche scorecard must-haves. So this is kind of what I came up with, what I think makes sense for an actual niche, because you for sure have to go niche in this business model. It has to be high ticket. So the client's profit per deal must be over $1,000 to $2,000 ideally. The client must close not always 10% of leads. It really depends on the industry, but they have to have like a healthy close rate. Like if they're closing 5% of those leads, not great. They're probably going to get discouraged, etc. Like, but if they're closing 10% of the leads, 1 out of 10, ideally, right, then that's, I would say, healthy. Also the sales cycle, ideally shorter sales cycle. I'm just gonna sales cycle ideally shorter, right? Ideally shorter. And there's some niches where I think they're not as short, but I think still makes sense. Willingness to pay, WTP, willingness to pay high cost per lead. So something like legal, where they're willing to pay more per lead because their deal size is a lot of money, maybe 2K to 5K or more per deal. Platform fit, audience must be accessible on Facebook and Google. So whoever you're targeting has to be accessible on the platforms that you're advertising on. And keep in mind, Facebook right now is still the king of advertisement. Facebook and Google, those are the 2 biggest ad platforms. Yeah, you have Bing, Reddit, all these other ones, but these 2 are the biggest. So they must be accessible. They have to be somewhat easier to target on these platforms. And you also have to have the skills to be able to advertise on these platforms really well. And there's also TikTok. It's a nice transition from Facebook. Sales ops, clients must have speed to lead. So when you're thinking of what niches, you have to think, okay, do they actually have like some type of sales system to be able to follow up with these needs? Nationwide, ideally, I thought about this one where, yeah, you could work with some, like I was thinking of dentists or something like that, right? I was okay, dentists, I would have to spin up ads in their specific radius, and like that dentist can only take leads in like a 30-mile radius. So that's going to be hard because now I have to spin up all of these different ad sets. And then instead of just consolidating my ads in one ad set where I can target nationwide. So I was thinking about it in that sense. Neo introduced me to one of his friends who is a VP of marketing at a really, really big dental implant center. And they spend like $1 million a month on ads. And what he was saying was that they actually do a lot of their target nationwide because they have so many different offices. They have like 40 different offices. There might be like some type of software that can help distribute leads to the right zip code for buyers. So there's also that, but nationwide ideally would make it a lot easier. Compliance headache and level. So like if you're getting into something like healthcare, maybe even in like the mortgage space or legal space, there might be a lot more compliance. So there's also that to take into account. Niches ranked, right? This is me doing research and also some, Gemini help here. So, and we could go into this. So Gemini basically ranked life insurance and final expense as number one agent sell by phone and can work in many states. So that's, it ticks the nationwide box. The lead is valuable. Volume per lead is high. They need constant leads to be able to continuously selling. Compliance hassle is kind of a medium. So overall fit is a 9.5. So I like the life insurance because you can target nationwide, which is great. Tax relief, tax resolution, number 2, right? Number 3, online business, marketing, coaching. I would just say no. Immigration law. Let me see. No, I don't see it here. But another interesting one that I've been seeing a lot is personal injury as being really, really popular in this space, and also immigration law and other, legal type of deals or leads. I think this one's a really hot one too. So I would probably even put this up here, like 1 or 2. As far as like niches, B2B SaaS, not really, credit repair, online business. So the ones that I know off right off the bat really are life insurance, legal, so like personal injury, etc., maybe immigration law, mortgage, because you can go nationwide with that. You can target a lot of different states, which is really big, especially if rates drop. This is going to be a really hot one. Mortgage, life insurance, legal, and there's also like home services. Think of companies like eLocal, stuff like that. This is a list that I thought about when I came down to benefits. And me and my wife, we worked in the agency together. She's pretty involved. And I was really pitching her this idea. And she's very, very hesitant in the beginning, kind of opening up to it a little bit more. But here's the benefits. Trained and optimized pixel per niche, right? So 1 pixel, it's optimized, trained. 1 ad account to manage. We can set up 1 go high level sub account and give access to everyone who needs access to it so they can see and manage their leads easy. Easier to scale per client, your CRO in 1 funnel per vertical, brand equity. So when you run these ads, you're spinning up your own brand in this space. So you also have brand equity there. Less account managers, media buyers, and creative specialists. So you have a smaller team, which is also a plus. Smaller team, especially as we move into the age of AI. No account manager, group chat required. You can use AI to book appointment. Leads are more valuable. Niche expertise compounds. So as you become the expert at generating leads in this niche, your expertise compounds, right? You're like the go-to for that specific industry and generating leads. Easier to pitch and sell, especially to enterprise. ChatGPT's final advice. I have this ChatGPT that knows everything about me, business, everything, metrics, you name it, health. My honest take for you for great marketing AI specialist, fastest and safest path to 10 million is likely core retainer model for higher level clients, right? So clients we actually want to work with, take on, layered on a PPL offer in 1 or 2 high LTV niches where you own the funnel and sell the leads. So retainers give you stable MRR. PPL gives you high upside. Which model is easier to reach 10 million? Short answer. Retainer model is usually easier and safer to hit 10 million in a planned way. Paper lead can hit 10 million faster, but only if you pick the right niche, you build strong systems, you survive the early risk. Either way, retainer model is usually easier and safer, but paper lead is a little bit, I guess, might be more riskier, but faster to scale. Agency versus PPL, we kind of went over that. People to watch. So as I started learning about the space, not as much content like if you were to look up SMMA, like SMMA YouTube content, there's tons and tons of that, right? Here, there's Get Lead Base. So I've been watching some of his videos. I joined his school. I've been watching some of his stuff, which has been really helpful. Hunter Soroy, I watched his content in the past, and it seems like he recently started switching to this model. So you could see 2 weeks ago, retainer versus paper lead, 1 big client, AI and paper lead 6 days ago, 1 day ago. So he's going all in on his paper lead content, which is interesting. He already has experience and sold a previous agency, I think in the Cairo space. And then Jakub, this guy, I've been seeing his ads because he teaches people how to get into this space and insider group. So I got some of his ads on my Instagram like months ago, but I never really paid too much attention to it. But it turns out Hunter joined Jakub here's course, and I saw his case study, and that's kind of how I saw that he was doing this too. So pretty interesting. And then as far as like next steps, pick 1 hero niche and dominate it first, right? Own the funnel and the data, your landers, your phone number, standardize what a valid lead is, lock in good unit economics, target something like 40 cost per lead from ads, sell at 150 per lead, roughly 110 gross profit, track this like crazy. Build a buyer pipeline, outbound plus inbound list of businesses ready to buy leads. Have wait lists for new cities or verticals. So the best way I've seen to generate new clients for this specific niche is LinkedIn and cold email seems to work well, and then potentially maybe even running your own Facebook, Instagram ads for this. So that's that. Those are all the breakdowns of retainer versus the PPL model. If you like this video, let me know. I can make another video going in depth a lot more into like the history of this industry and this niche and people who've been doing it successfully. So that's it. That's the breakdown of PPL model versus the retainer agency model. And if you want another video, like a part 2 where I go even deeper into the industry, like who's in this space, like how it all works, let me know. I've been doing a lot of research into this space and it's been really, really fun for me and really interesting. Let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.